Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. The Queen of My Dreams is a vibrant, heartfelt dramedy about a queer Muslim grad student, Azra, who returns to Pakistan after her father's sudden death, confronting her estranged relationship with her conservative mother. As she navigates the grief and exclusion from the funeral rites, Azra revisits some key moments in her family's past. Beautifully done, funny, poignant. It is really a fun watch. The film is called The Queen of My Dreams, and we're joined today by the director and writer, as well as co-producer, Fawzia Mirza. Terrific film. I really enjoyed it. It's got a real energy to it that I think just from the start of the film. I love the comedy in it. I think the way that you kind of play off what we know is kind of the expectations, if you will, the tropes of what I call Indian and apparently Pakistani filmmaking. It feels like you had fun with that in the process of making this film. Let's go back to the genesis. What inspired you to make The Queen of My Dreams?
Well, it originally kind of started as a short film. My first short film called The Queen of My Dreams was a 3-minute short that was on the festival circuit in 2012, continued to play, actually just played in 2025 at the Academy Museum in Los Angeles in front of an iconic 90s feature, Chutney Popcorn. So it continues to play, which is amazing. But that short film I made when I wasn't even a filmmaker. I was really trying to make an art piece. I was an actor at the time. I was trying to make a performance art piece that would play at a gallery. And it was really a very public conversation about the really private struggle and internal back and forth of whether and how I could be queer and Muslim and still love Bollywood romance all at the same time. And so it was sort of my one of my many coming of ages, I guess you could say. And it was just done in a really externalized way. And making that short film really helped me begin the journey of loving who I am and feeling really comfortable and confident in this very multifaceted identity. And sharing it at film festivals gave me a place to gave me a community that I still hold on to today. So the short film was the beginning, and then because I was an actor at the time, I wasn't trying to make a feature film. I really was wanting to make a one person show. And so I was in Chicago at the time. I wrote and performed and developed a one person show called Me, My Mom, and Shar'Mila. And I did that with the help of some great people in the city of Chicago. I performed it. It was a very, very personal one person show. The character's name was Fawzia, and it was about me and my relationship with my mother, told through a shared love for this cinematic Indian film star, Shar'Mila Tagore. And so it was through that work and only after sharing and performing that play that I'd started making more short films. I traveled around with my work. I'd been to more festivals. I was writing, and in the meantime, made another feature film as a writer and as an actor. And then I started to think, oh, this project that I've been working on or that I have in my heart that I've shared with people, maybe there's a feature film in it. And so then that began the journey to making this film.
Wow, that's quite a journey, especially when, in some ways, it feels like the short that you made of the Queen of My Dreams is kind of the Rosetta Stone, if you will, of what you were doing moving forward.
Yeah, it's definitely the touchstone. I mean, why, the conversation of like, I think the touch point of Sharmila Tagore, the touch point of this film within my film, Aradhana, which is a very well-known film from 1969. It won a bunch of awards in sort of the Indian film cinematic universe. The beginnings of that were part of this short. And so it definitely is where I go back to, have gone back to over the last, 10 years to find this feature. And even when I was in post-production on this feature film, when I was trying to figure out what the opening sequence is for this movie, I went back to the short to remember the feeling that made that short film so special. And that was the impetus for me to bring the footage, the visual footage, into my movie so much. Like originally, it was always going to play on screens, but it was going back to the short film that I thought, what if it's also interstitially laid out, both in the beginning, but also throughout the film?
Yeah.
So it definitely is something I went back to at various points in time. And, you know, it's me. That conversation in the first short film, it wasn't imagined. It was me playing the role. It was me talking about my relationship with my mother. It was me telling jokes that I told over the course of my life. It was me in a queer Muslim space. And so that has not changed in terms of I am still all of those things. I'm just at a different evolutionary and growth moment for in my life.
By the way, just as an observation, Shar'Mila Tagore,
Yeah.
what a charismatic sort of bearing she has. She's beautiful, but there's something in her eyes or something in the way that that particular scene that we see in the film, you can see, I mean, I can see why it would be such a galvanizing kind of moment or a galvanizing persona that she was projecting in the film. Now let's go to the heart of this film, exactly as you've been describing. This is a relationship film where Azra is trying to sort through how she's going to be able to navigate her life with her mother, who has obviously been an critically important part of her who she is. And I was also very taken with the relationship we see in the family, which the way that it plays out between husband and wife, father, daughter, mother, daughter, all of those things, which we rarely get an opportunity to see in American theaters, is a Pakistani family, the dynamics, the culture, and all the rest of it. And I thought what you were able to do in this film is bring a perspective that we just generally don't have here. And the actors, as we mentioned earlier, were all so good. Nimra Abucha, Amrit Kaur, and Hamzad Hogg. They really make the film work on multiple levels because of their performances. Having said that, I would like to drill down on the performance that you got from Amrit Kaur and her portrayal of not only Azra, but also of her mother as a young woman, Miriam, and just what went into your intention in cultivating that performance from her.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that was really important for me was that the actor who was playing this role or these two roles had to be able to, the language was important. You know, one person, they have to be able to speak Hindi or Urdu. You have to be able to be willing to do the work, which means, you know, she ended up doing things on her own. Even, you know, she prepared by taking some dance classes. I got her a language, a dialect coach, and even just being willing to do the travel. You know, it's not a small indie film by all means, no matter, you know, even though we were able to create such a big world on screen. And so all of that, I think, puts you in the mental space of I'm willing to expand for these roles and do what I need to do, and work with the director as I need to work with them to find this story. And so I think that openness and willing to do the work was something that Amrit has always been uh she was always ready for and was very clear to me right from the beginning. It was also important for me to, of all the identities represented, I really wanted somebody queer. And so she shared that with me in one of our early interviews, in one of our early conversations, I should say. And she wasn't really out yet publicly, but now is. But that was something she wanted me to know. And I felt like that authenticity was really important for this movie and this role. The chemistry between her and the Hamza Haq playing, you know, her love interest was really important. So I knew that the two of them had worked together before, and I saw some of that work and I saw some of that footage, and that was something that they were coming into it having a really strong rapport. That was essential to me and went into my casting of her as well. And I think in terms of like being there on the day, Amrit was always willing to adjust and tweak. And, you know, if she came in with a certain idea of how a scene was playing, if, you know, it wasn't working or if we had to change something or change a scene or change dialogue, she was always willing to go there.
Yeah.
Um, or if I gave her a note that adjusted the physicality, she was always up for it and willing to do what we had to do to find the truth of the scene. So I feel like, she's a really present and exceptional actor in that regard. And it just wouldn't be the movie it is without her. I think there's also something to be said for trusting that you are the person. I think sometimes when we're playing two different characters, there's some things you need to like practice, whether it's a posture or a dialect, but also something that I was sharing was like, you just have to be who you are because it's working. You can let go of trying to do too much more because the things that we've worked on are working, and let everything else go and just be in this moment. And so that was something that came up as well.
Yeah. The fact that she is playing her character, Azra, and then she's playing her mom as a younger woman. And for that to work, there has to be, and it felt to me like she had a real ease in inhabiting both of those characters. So that's what comes across to me is the kind of natural feel
Yeah,
to that.
and I think sometimes people, part of the reason I cast one person to play both roles was in order to literalize that the daughter is the mother is the daughter. And that's both, part of the DNA of us as human beings, whether we like it or not. It just is. You can fight it all you want, but there are things that we take and are from those who came before us. And whether that's mother, grandmother, before the great, 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 but that DNA comes through, that ancestral kind of, that lineage, that ancestral imprint upon us, those habits, those characteristics. And I think in particular, you have a lot of people who just think, well, anyone who's from the East is different from anyone who's from the West. And if you wear pants, you're different from someone who wears a shalwar kameez. And that's just not true. And so this was also a way to show that it's not just the actor is the same, but the character is really the same. They're just like in different time periods. It's less about like what the clothes you're wearing and more about like an essence.
Yeah.
And I think that is true across many cultures, many time periods. It's true now. Just
Yeah.
because you're sitting in Los Angeles or Indiana or New York, it doesn't mean you're really that different from someone sitting in Pakistan.
I think that's such a great observation about somebody playing, just as you described the dynamic she is playing in this film, is that yeah, you are a part of my dad or my mom. I mean, I have taken from them, and whether I wanted to or not, in some ways, and in other ways, I embrace it. So you exactly what you're describing. That's a beautiful way to put it. Well, I want to underscore just how much fun this film is, the vibrancy of the look of the film, the color. I want to compliment you and your cinematographer on bringing out just this real beautiful panoply of color. I mean, it's just a really bright film, and it really kind of pulls you into the look of it, pulls you in as well. I was really taken by how well that struck me, how well you did that in this film. So
Thank you so much. We worked really hard from beginning to end, from prep to interviews for our crew and heads of department, to prep for the film, to production, to post.
yeah,
Color story was an essential part of this right from the beginning. I didn't want to make a bleak movie. Even when sad things are happening, the sun still shines, the
yeah,
world is still vibrant, color still exists. And I didn't want this to be a gritty film about like places that are traditionally shown as gritty because of sadness or poverty. And so, and I'm inspired by Bollywood films. I mean, like many great directors, I mean, Wes Anderson's films are so vibrant because of his influence from Indian cinema and Bollywood films. And so so part of it was the films I'm inspired by, but also counteracting the cultural falsehood of what people and movies and experiences are from a place like Pakistan. And so in the film, there are 5 different color stories. There's the 80s, the 90s, the 60s, and then there's the fantasy world, and then there's the film within a film, which is in Technicolor already. So it has its own kind of beautiful, classic, preserved, and we used the restored version of that film. So it has a great vibrance to it in those, blues, for example. And my DP, exceptional guy, Matt Irwin, I don't think he's gotten enough accolades for his lighting and look. But he used a LUT, which is basically created a look for the film so that whenever I was looking through the camera or anyone looked through the camera, we all saw a vibrant picture that then we tweaked in post-production as well. And my production designer, a genius named Michael Pearson, worked so closely with our DP as well, from paint color in every single scene to the props to things on the wall to, they built those sets in Pakistan. He worked with the art team to build those sets where you saw the band and the dancing and the club that the flight attendants and the pilots and the crew hung out. That was all built. Those were empty spaces that were created to be that, to give, and, we used a lot of reference photographs and images and ads for airlines in order to be inspired by what those worlds might have looked like, and then took it in our direction.
Very good. Well, it's a beautiful film, just as you described. It's the subliminal things that pull people into films. I'm a big believer in that, and that's what you, in addition to the work, but I do what you just described feels very, very spot on. The film is called The Queen of My Dreams, and we've been speaking with the director, producer, and writer, co-producer and writer, Fawzia Mirza.
Thank you so much.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.